Hello, everybody. Today we're making enchiladas with a delicious, so simple, so yummy red sauce.
Yes, very simple, very delicious. But we're also partnering up today with Summer Harvest, and we had a request from them for ways to use canned chicken. So canned chicken, or even like pre-cooked, like sometimes you can get them at Costco, the pre-cooked chicken. This is a great recipe for this. You could make the homemade red sauce that we're going to make. You'll see it's super easy. Very simple ingredients, or you could get your own canned enchilada sauce. So it's a really quick, easy meal. I always have green enchilada sauce and red enchilada sauce at home because I put them on everything. Like when I make rice, maybe sometimes I'll just like grill chicken and then have leftover rice, and then it's kind of like fried rice where I'll take the rice, the leftover. We should do something like that. Wow. Yeah. So I just take the leftover rice. I always grill extra chicken breast, and we make a lot of extra rice, so I've got extra rice. So then you just saute your rice, and then I just dump a can of enchilada sauce on top of the rice after it's reheated. It's good. And with the grilled chicken, it's just like very quick and easy leftover meals, which is what I like.
And green sauce.
And I like them both. I like sometimes in the mood for red, sometimes in the mood for green. So
Yeah,
I like them both.
well, we're doing red.
We're doing red.
And Summer Harvest is a local organization that helps get food in the hands of families that need help getting food in their kitchen.
over the summer.
Yeah.
And if anybody would like to volunteer with them, they need lots of volunteers to help distribute food locally. So you can reach them at summerharvest.org. Pretty sure. So, yeah. Or just ask me. And if you are with Summer Harvest and you've received a box of food and you would love to know what to do about things, we have a lot of videos on our YouTube channel. That is where you hopefully are getting this, and you can check the recipes, check the videos, and you can always ask us questions if you have any questions. There we go.
All right, let's get cooking.
Okay, so today we're gonna do a red sauce.
Okay.
But really simple red sauce. So with that red sauce, what I like to do is have a recipe where you make it once and then you turn it into leftovers. So you would make it once and you would get this chicken. Here's my chicken thighs. See, there's my last chicken that I haven't cut up in this red sauce, and you can serve it with rice, you can serve it with pasta, potatoes, salad, whatever. So you serve the chicken with this lovely red sauce, and then your leftover chicken, you chop it up, which I will do on camera as well. And then you make that into burritos or enchiladas or tacos or like any sort of thing you'd like to make out. But we are going to make it into enchiladas. So let me show you, that's the finished sauce, because we needed to have some finish so that we could go ahead and show you how to make the enchiladas. And now we're going to make the sauce. But the one thing I want to do first is this sauce, you just basically, you dump everything in the blender. The last enchiladas we made together was a couple years ago, and we like charred the onions. We sauteed some things, but I made it very simple because we already have the dried charred flavor of the peppers, and we're going to be cooking it down in the pan. So I've decided to skip the charring step, and we're not going to need to rehydrate it because it's going to rehydrate while the chicken is cooking. So we're not going to rehydrate the chilies and anything because it's going to rehydrate at the same time that it's cooking the chicken. So the chicken juices are going to flow into the chilies, and the chili juices are going to flow into the chicken, and it's all going to be one big, nice, one pot, simple meal. So the only thing we're going to do with the sauce is put everything in the blender, blend it up, and put it on top of the chicken. The one thing we want to do with the chicken, though, which is going to take a little bit more time, basically the time that it's going to take us to blend all these ingredients, is we want to brown the chicken so that we start getting a nice flavor from the chicken. So I'm going to take my chicken thighs, my pan has been heating up, and I'm going to put it fat side down into the pan. And I don't need any oil in the pan yet because I have a lot of fat on the chicken, and I'm not worried about cooking it completely. I just want to brown at least one side of it to start building flavor in the pan. So I'm going to put all the chicken in the pan. I'll give it a little bit of seasoning with some salt. And then I will make the sauce. My pan was very hot. and my chicken is cold, so it's good. Okay, so I'm gonna season it with some salt. And then just cook this until it's brown, and that should be just about the same time that it takes me to dump all of my ingredients for the sauce in the blender and blend it on.
And we like to use kosher salt, right? Which is
Right, we're using diamond crystal kosher salt, which is half as salty as table salt. So whatever I'm using, if you're using a table salt, you would use half as much as I would use. So that's why it might look like it's a lot, because it's half as salty. Okay, so we have two types of chilies. Do we know though which ones they are?
that's the guajillo,
Guajillo,
and that's the other one.
the other one,
Ancho.
ancho.
No,
No,
sorry,
it's not.
ancho.
Ancho
Ancho.
and guajillo.
Ancho's the dark one. Yeah, guajillo. Yeah.
Each, so just like these guys in the real world when they're not dried, they all have slightly different flavors. Some are sweeter, some are spicier, some are just they all are slightly different. Just like when you smell a rose, every rose is going to smell a little different. So if you don't have the exact chilies, whatever you have is fine. It will just add a slightly different flavor to your sauce. But
Like a jalapeno.
so jalapeno is a fresh pepper. So these guys are dried. So if you wanted to use a jalapeno, your sauce would be a little fresher tasting and it would be delicious. There's nothing wrong with that. There's chipotles, which are actually smoked jalapenos that are then preserved in a nice kind of like adobo sauce, which has cumin and vinegar and salt and tomato. And so it would be, if you just wanted to use the can of chipotle, they are a little spicier than these guys. If you wanted to use that, you could make that instead of using these dry chilies. So what we're gonna do is take these chilies, pop them in our blender. I'm not taking out the seeds, I'm gonna use the seeds. The seeds is where the heat tends to be. So if you're worried about, the other one came off so easily. If you're worried about spiciness, don't use the seeds. If you're not worried about spiciness, go ahead and use them all. Do you want to try a seed?
Sure.
There you go.
I always taste test the spicy stuff on live television.
I already made the sauce with all the seeds from the last one, but if you want to try a seed on camera, go for it. Here's this one and this one. And I'm just going to break these up just a smidge, just to help our blender. Our blender is not a very powerful blender, so it has some trouble. Actually, is it spicy?
No.
Yeah, so we're just going to go in with everything. So the chilies are in. We're going to add cumin, just some ground cumin. We're
Not spicy, really nice flavor. Delicious. Really good.
So we have, let's go in order though. That's helpful. I already messed it up. So we're going to use a bunch of cilantro to garnish. So I'm going to chop up the leaves. So let me show you my bunch of cilantro. So here's my bunch of cilantro. You have all of the stems without any leaves here. And this is what's going to go into the blender. And this is what's going to go as the finishing. So I'm going to take my knife. I'm going to keep it all bundled together. And I'm going to roll it on up because it's easier to run your knife through something compact than going every which way. So right now I'm just going to chop up only the leaves of the cilantro. And if there are stems attached to those leaves, I'm going to get those too. But if there's just a stem with no leaves, that I'm not going to do yet. So this is just the garnished cilantro that we're going to put on afterwards.
Oh, and Diane wanted to know if we are just using one of each pepper, and yes, but only because we pre-did the other half of the recipe. So when you visually look at our recipes right now, it'll be half of what you would be doing.
What the recipe calls for, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is my garnished cilantro that's all the leaves, and I've cut any stems that were near the leaves, I've cut them really small. And then I have the bigger leaves with less stems. I have the bigger stems with less leaves, opposite, sorry. And what I want to do is just chop this up, and this is going to be blended up into my sauce. So I'm going to use all these stems because they have a delicious flavor. They just are a little stringy. So I'm chopping them up and I'm gonna pop them into the blender. And this is gonna be part of our sauce. And this is gonna be cooked down. Whereas the other part of the cilantro is going to be fresh and stay nice and bright and green and fresh. Okay, so that goes in there. Then we're going to do one 28-ounce can of tomato. We're using crushed tomatoes. You could use diced or whole. They're going to be blended up anyway, so it doesn't really matter. We're doing half of the recipe. And then I'm going to take the chicken broth that we're using, and I'm going to rinse out my tomato can with that. There's my chicken broth, goes in. Our chilies are in there, our garlic. So we're just gonna throw in about the equivalent of 4 garlic cloves. So that's about the equivalent of 2 since we cut it in half. So just like we cut it in half, you could also double it if you want to make extra. This sauce freezes really, really well. Very, very well. And the chicken in it freezes well too. The cumin's in there, the oregano is gonna go in. An onion is gonna go in. So I'm just gonna, I just cut the onion into thirds. So just onion goes in. And some pepper, some salt, some olive oil, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, just to give it a little flavor. And then we put it in the blender and blend it up until it's a nice smooth sauce. Okay. So here we go.
Look at her go.
Blending right now.
Okay, just crush everything up, nothing special. And my chicken now has had a chance to brown, hopefully. Yeah, so I've got brown chicken.
And it looks like you had oil in the pan too.
But I didn't, remember? I didn't, yeah. And so I'll go ahead, turn my chicken over, add my sauce, and then we basically cook this for about 20 to 30 minutes. Honestly, it's like, this is like an Italian tomato sauce too. You can't really overcook it. The only thing that would happen if you overcook it is it would dry out and you might need to add a little extra water. So this just goes, so this is like a simmer sauce.
Yeah.
So you just pour your sauce over your protein and then we're just gonna simmer it away.
What about breast? Can you talk about breast for a second?
Yeah, so if you were gonna do this with chicken breast, you would cook it on one side halfway, turn it over, cook it on the other side another quarter of the way. So you would cook it 75% of the way. Then you would take your sauce, well, then you would take your chicken out of the pan. So the whole difference between breasts and thighs is that breasts cook very quickly. They don't have the same type of meat and fat and connective tissue that a thigh does. A thigh needs to be cooked for a long time and can stand up to longer cooking, whereas a breast has very little fat and it's white meat, not dark meat, so it does not stand up well to being overcooked. So if we were doing breast, you would cook it 75% of the way, take it out of the pan, cook your sauce without the chicken.
Oh, okay.
And so it wouldn't get as much exchange of flavors, but that's okay. And then cook your sauce down. And then by the time you're ready, your chicken should be 100% cooked. If it's not, you can put it back in the very last minute to finish up cooking.
Yeah.
So when we did not too long ago, that French dish with chicken, that was with chicken breast, right? With the
Which French dish?
paprika and the mushroom
Oh,
ducal.
yeah, yeah.
That was,
Yeah.
so that's the same concept of cooking chicken too, is chicken breasts are cooked that way. Quickly in the pan, take them out, make the sauce, and then finish up. Chicken thighs are like a braise. So this is technically a braise, meaning we have a liquid in the pan and we're going to slowly cook it until it's completely done. Not until it's just done, but when you braise the chicken like this, it should be like super done. So, okay. So I'm just making sure that the chicken is no longer stuck to the bottom because I don't want it to burn and I want to bring all those brown bits in. And then I am going to put the lid on and just simmer this for 20 to 30 minutes. But like I was trying to say, just like an Italian marinara sauce, you can just keep cooking this. And the worst thing that's going to happen is you might have to add a little water.
Yeah.
So I want it to be at a simmer, which this is too much. It's too high. It's getting messy. I want just tiny, tiny bubbles. So that's on completely low on our stove, like all the way to the right on our stove. And then I put the lid on, and then after 20 minutes, get this. So maybe 30 minutes, after 30 minutes. So, yeah, it doesn't really need to be reading. There you go. Okay. So pretend I just chopped up those. So you get the chicken that's been cooked in this nice thickened sauce, and you have this lovely chicken with red sauce. So we would serve this on a plate with some rice. Rice and beans and sorry, I got a big drink.
Okay. Some water.
So make some rice. Get your chicken.
Say rice or rice
Rice
and
and
tortillas.
tortillas. I mean, one again.
Yeah.
So there's our chicken, and then you would top this with some cilantro and serve it with some rice, and then you have your chicken and red sauce. Okay.
Delicious. Did you watch? Oh, there's this really funny Instagram reel of Mexican moms watching Rachel Ray make Spanish rice.
Oh, I didn't find out.
It's really funny. I was gonna
Well-
say like white rice, Spanish rice, and I was thinking it. That's so good. It's one of those like soul foods. It's kind of feeds you in the soul a little bit. It's really good.
So you eat this as one meal. Oh, the other thing is you would serve it with some vegetables. So let's do some vegetables, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do vegetables. Okay, so we are going to take some veggies that we like. I'm gonna preheat my pan. I have a zucchini, a bell pepper. So I'm gonna take my bell pepper first, and I'm just gonna kind of slice it up like fajita style. So for the bell pepper, I want to avoid the white membrane and the seeds. So I'm gonna go around it. I first slice it blind, and then I get a nice little window in. And then I'm gonna keep going around, avoiding the white membrane and seeds. Sometimes the peppers are shaped in a way that this works great. Sometimes they're shaped in a way it doesn't work so great.
Would any color bell pepper?
Yeah, whatever you
this?
like. And then you take this and throw this in your trash can. And I didn't have to put my knife down. I didn't have to clean up my cutting board. I have no seeds on my board. It's all ready to go. And then I'm just gonna dice this up because I want to put it into my enchiladas. So I feel like a dice is gonna be a better shape. So I'm gonna slice it into kind of big strips and then cross cut it into a nice dice. Really large dice. And it doesn't have to be perfect. So just chop it on up. And then turn all these. And then just chop them like that. So there we go. Quick diced bell pepper. I'm gonna pop this into my pan. I'll add some oil in a second, but right now I'm just gonna put in the peppers. And I'm purposely putting the peppers in first because the zucchini cooks, the peppers can be cooked for a long time, but I want my zucchini not to be overcooked. So I'm gonna put the zucchini in last. I'm just gonna take off the top and the bottom, and then I'm gonna split the zucchini down the center. And then open it up so I get a nice flat surface. And I think I'm gonna dice the zucchini too, because I don't. So that means I'm just gonna slice down the center like that. So I have these type pieces of zucchini, and then cut them into very similar sized pieces as I did the bell peppers. So I'll take my zucchini, just turn it, and then now cut them into a nice big slice. There we go. And then now I'm gonna put my zucchini into the pan. And again, I still haven't put any oil in yet. I will, but I'm just waiting.
I like a very undercooked zucchini.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And then also, if you're going to be using these, making them and then reheating them for the leftovers with the enchiladas, and you don't want to overcook it too much. Okay. So here's my zucchini. I'm gonna now. Oops. I hit the piece. Can't really get it.
Going for it. Got it.
All right, I'm gonna add a little salt. Sorry. Little salt. And then a teeny bit of olive oil. And then I just want to get these little bits of ground hard pieces on my veggies.
Yeah.
And then basically that's it. Turn off the heat. Yep. Because you can eat zucchini raw. You can eat peppers raw.
Yeah.
So I'd say another 30 seconds like that, and then I'm gonna turn off the heat. And the residual heat in the pan will continue to cook this more. Yep. And that took me literally less than 5 minutes. Okay, turn off the heat, no more heat, less than 5 minutes. And I would just let this sit until we're ready to eat it. Okay, so there's our veggies. Okay, so now we would serve. Let's take a look. Better looking plate. Chicken with some veggies. And then some rice or tortillas. A carb if you left, if you'd like. Oh wait, you could do some like yummy cheese over here. That looks good. You could put some cheese on the top. Yeah. So that's a lovely meal. So the whole point of this is then, like if you're a family of 2, you would have more chicken left over, more veggies left over. And that's when you would turn it into the enchilada recipe that I have below. So that's the only thing that's a little tricky in this recipe is the chicken and red sauce. It makes enough for 4 to 6 portions, and it would make like 4 cups of sauce. Whereas the enchilada recipe below it only calls for 2 cups of sauce and about 1.5 pounds of chicken. So that's the thing that's a little confusing. So if you're a family of 4, then, and you want to do enchiladas and chicken and red sauce, you just double the recipe. So you would do, you would brown your chicken in a larger pot. You could just definitely do it in a large, just pick a slightly larger pot, brown your chicken, put double the sauce, and maybe you have to do it in 2 times in the blender, double your sauce, put it over the chicken, cook it. It would probably take maybe 5 extra minutes if you have a lot more stuff going on in there. Maybe it would take 35 minutes. And then you have enough for 1 meal of chicken and then enough for enchiladas afterwards. So that's the only trick. Okay. So now, any questions?
Yeah, good question. If you were gonna recommend any of our infuso olive oil, so for those of you that may not know, we sell artisan olive oils and balsamic vinegars here. They're all infused with mostly local ingredients. So we have like, oh my gosh, the chili cilantro would be good, the jalapeno, the garlic. And then we also have balsamic. So yeah, for those of you that might be
Okay,
new.
I would recommend
I like to show people. There's an actual store here. If you want to come shop.
Yeah, what flavors?
Well, so for Sydney or anybody who likes spicy, the jalapeno one would be perfect. So you would use this in the blender. You would use the 2 tablespoons of this in the blender. And then also for your veggies, use it for your veggies. I actually use garlic olive oil on the first one. And I would like also to use the lemon olive oil in it. I think that'd be a really nice.
The veggies.
Yeah, with the veggies and with the tomato sauce. But then the smoked olive oil is one of my favorites and it's one I forget about. So I would recommend the smoked one too. So all of these would be delicious.
Do we still have chili cilantro? We do, right?
I don't think so.
If we do that one.
Yeah, I think they had a problem finding the cilantro.
Oh.
So they couldn't find good enough quality, so they didn't make it. Unless we got it back and I just didn't notice that it came
I
back.
can go check at the next bowl.
So red sauce is done. I feel like it's similar. Okay, so it's very similar to curries, by the way, which we just did.
Sure.
So we used tomatoes, we used chilies, we used broth. So this is very similar to like a Thai red curry, except we didn't use coconut milk, but it's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is interesting personally, that every, that every food tradition has their own style of this type of thing.
Yeah.
We don't really think about it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah. So enchiladas.
Enchiladas.
So what we want to do is take our chicken now. The chicken actually, after cooking it for that long, it actually just started to break apart on its own. I didn't have to do too much to it to help it along. So this would be a great time to get the kids involved. Is Glenda here today? I didn't see Glenda. No, I think they might be on a trip. They usually go away right after school. Maybe they're not on a trip, but anyways. You can shred it literally with forks, or what we did is I just chopped it up with my knife. So I'm just gonna start slicing it one way and then slicing it the opposite way to a nice little dice. And again, if you're gonna use canned chicken, you would just take it out of the can, just dump it in, drain it. Yeah, my neighbors make their enchiladas with canned chicken all the time. It's really good. Yeah. So now you want to ask yourself, do you want big pieces of chicken? Do you want little pieces of chicken? It's all up to you. How do you want it on your fork? And that's how you decide. So now I'm going to take all of this chicken and mix it into the 2 cups of the sauce, or half of the sauce, basically. And then we are going to be ready to build our enchiladas. So we could do, I always say this, whenever we do enchiladas, I don't just like plain meat and cheese in the enchiladas, or I don't just like just meat. I always like cheese and vegetables because I feel like, I don't know, I just think too much meat it's just too much meat. I mean,
Yeah.
So if you don't want the veggies in your enchiladas, definitely leave it out. That's why I put it as optional, but I like it that way. So that's what we're gonna do. Do you want to
get veggies?
Yeah. Do you want to do some that are completely vegetarian?
No.
No? Just do them.
Yeah.
Okay. And just I'm gonna go. How's this looking?
I've been very loosey goosey.
Okay. So here it's simmering away nicely. We'll just let it simmer. I don't know why the color is so different. Maybe the 2 peppers that I used were much darker because it was literally
maybe.
the exact same thing. Okay. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. Try and not make too much of a mess to clean up afterwards. I like to dip my tortillas into the sauce as much as I can. Coat it. Or we can just microwave them in. So you can do it 2 ways. This doesn't have that much sauce. So there's that. Or I don't think we're gonna do that. We're gonna do it how I said in the recipe, which is just microwave it. Forget I did this because there's not enough sauce in there. This is just a taste test later.
Okay.
So we microwave these real quick,
Make them soft,
make them soft.
pliable. Soft and pliable tortillas.
And then we have cheese, vegetables, and chicken. And yeah. I know it is because this sauce is thicker than the candy sauce, so it's harder to get it dipped. So I'm gonna fill up with chicken and then with veggies. So the key is if I know that I want to do eight enchiladas, although we're using small, usually I didn't specify the size, but usually I would do the slightly bigger ones. These are the ones we had, so it's doesn't matter. I would say we could probably get 12 of these. So what I want to do is divide it in half. And then divide it into 4. And then I know that I probably want to get fill 3 tortillas with this much, what's in a quarter. So do it somehow logically, so you're not just arbitrarily filling your things. So so I want to actually take 3 tortillas. And let's see how this is gonna work.
These tortillas in okay shape.
Yeah, they'll be fine. So we have some interesting tortillas that we froze because we didn't need them. And so they're a little on the dry side, but it's perfect for making enchiladas.
Soaking up, yeah.
Like that's the whole point of enchiladas is like reusing stuff that is not perfect. So look, this is perfect. I have just the right amount of filling for 3. And then I'll add some veg and some cheese. Did you measure the cheese?
I did 2 big handfuls, which I think is 2 cups. You think we're short?
I don't know.
I can make more.
I mean, I think cheese is always kind of like at your own discretion, you know,
I'm
like
always big on
how
cheese.
cheesy do you want it to be? I feel like we could be a little more cheesy, but so I'm just rolling this up with the cheese inside. So I'm gonna put 6 in each of these little guys. And since our tortillas are a little on the dry side, I want to make sure that I'm going to cover them with the extra sauce and cheese.
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3. Oh, we only have.
Oh,
We're just gonna do 6.
we're short on tortillas. That's
But
okay.
you know, we could do like you could just do like you could also do a lasagna.
Oh,
So you would just put your
interesting.
tortillas on the bottom.
You want to do that with the other 3? Since these are all kind of messed up, you know, like the broken ones.
Well, we could even still do it with these,
Yeah.
like, because these are pretty sad, but. Okay.
Interesting. That is fun.
Okay, a little cheese, some veggies. Yeah, let's just do lasagna. Okay, we're getting the picture. Everybody's getting the picture of this, right? Oh, so I just overfilled it. Do you guys see that?
Yep.
Now, because that's why I put out the 3, because when you're doing them one by one, you have much more of a tendency to overfill. So I totally overfilled my tortilla, which means that it's going to be really hard to roll it up. And then it's not going to fit very well.
I thought we were making lasagna with that one.
Well, I think we are because, okay, so if you were going to do it enchilada style, then you would take any leftover sauce. Actually, I would probably grab a little water.
Yeah.
A little water. I just added a little water to make it a little soupier. And then I like to cover the enchiladas with sauce and then cheese. And then put cheese. There we go. And then you would just keep filling it up.
Mhm.
Now, since we have these uncooperative, dried out corn tortillas,
Mhm.
we are going to make a lasagna. So here we go.
Yeah, I agree, Marianne. I always appreciate and enjoy when things don't go
Oh,
perfectly here
totally.
because it's it makes for such better teaching moments.
So I think I'm going to take these and let's see how it lines up. If I cut them in half,
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Look at that.
these guys in half.
Mhm.
Teeny bit of sauce on the bottom, just like with any lasagna. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't love the the really thick, really thick kind of seemingly nicer tortillas. I kind of like the really cheap, kind of simple, flimsy corn tortillas. Girl, makes
Yeah, these were like the organic.
yeah, they're like thick,
They're too
handmade,
thick, yeah.
organic kind of vibe. Yeah. There's a big lob of cheese right there. Mix that. See, look at that good cheesy blue. Yeah.
All right, so we need to spread this out.
Okay. This is gonna be so good.
And then let's cut these up again. I'm just gonna keep my hands all messy. All mess all the time. Okay, then another layer of tortillas.
This is almost like a chicken chilaquiles.
Yes, I was thinking the same thing.
Like make this and put an egg on top, you know?
Okay, so I'm gonna do one more layer of chicken. So I need half of this. And actually my last layer, I'm gonna go a little heavy on the chicken so that I make sure I cover everything.
Ooh, a drizzle of actually cilantro oil on the dry tortillas.
A little bit of cheese. Okay, and then now the last layer of tortillas.
Yeah, so what is the rule? Do you want to end with tortillas on top? Is that how lasagnas usually?
Well, no, I'm gonna end with I'm gonna do, so I started tortilla, chicken, vegetable cheese, tortilla, chicken, vegetable cheese, tortilla, chicken, vegetable cheese.
Okay.
So I'm gonna end with cheese.
Okay.
And then let me just get this knife real
Yes.
quick. And the reason why I want to do it that way is because I want the tortillas to be covered in juice, saucy juice. The veggies can get nice and golden brown, so they can be uncovered. I do want.
So you're kind of you're like trying to work to like cover the really crispy corners and
Because our tortillas were so, if you had, not all tortillas are like this.
yeah.
These are really, really
Well,
dry and
Ours
thick.
were in the freezer for about 6 months and they were really thick. Yeah.
So if they were fresher corn, I mean, if they were fresher flour tortillas, it might be fun to get them actually crispy. So I really piled on the sauce. And remember, I added more water to the sauce, which was a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
It smells
my
really
hands are already messy, so I'm just gonna go for
Yeah.
it. You could
Yeah,
use a
yeah.
spoon. I've been washing my hands a million times. Okay, now I'm gonna add the veggies because I like to show people that it's a little different. So like, let's say you have this out for a party and you're like, oh, I don't just want a burrito. I mean, an enchilada just full of chicken. You show them, look, it's different. It's got veggies. At least that's how I would be.
Yeah.
I would probably pass on the enchiladas I thought it was all chicken.
Cheese enchiladas.
Yeah,
Love a cheese enchilada
I
though.
mean, I know, with chips, like I just want to sit down and eat with chips though.
Yeah.
And then now I put the cheese on top.
Mm.
This is perfect. I like it better.
I agree. I like this a lot better. It's gonna be amazing. So delicious. And then we just bake it, yeah?
Exactly. So, but you could freeze it before you bake
Freeze
it,
this like this?
just like this. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And so it wouldn't be a bad idea to wrap it in plastic wrap and then like compress it.
Yeah.
If you're gonna freeze it, that would be better because let me wash my hands. In those areas, it is very there's air. So if we compress this, it would be much more airtight. It would go and it would be better in the freezer. But this is now, so you've taken your leftovers, your family's maybe they're sick of this meal. And they don't want to see it for a while. So you wrap this up. Actually, I'll show you how to wrap it.
Oh yeah, the wrapping is a good.
You wrap it up nice and tight, and then you put it in the freezer and you schedule it on your calendar for like 2 weeks later. And then your family doesn't know. Or I don't know, you should tell them. You should tell them these things because I feel like they need to know how much you have to organize to make meals. So yeah, you should tell them, forget it. But I guess I'm just talking to people who might have leftover, people that don't like leftovers in their family, which I feel like you have to train them.
True.
That's
Some
not
of
a
my
good thing.
kids, well, it depends on the day, it depends on the dish, but sometimes they get real persnickety about leftovers. It's real weird.
So I'm gonna press down so that it's going to take away the air pockets and then make it last longer. And also completely coat everything in there. And also look, it's bringing up a little bit of the sauce over the cheese, which is not a bad thing.
No.
The sauce is going to help in the freezer. It's going to help keep things nice and fresh.
Mm.
So then we wrap it like this.
This is why the name brand plastic
Oh,
wrap is worth it. I
I'm
swear
so
it is.
tired of these
I
plastic wraps
know.
we've had the past 2 weeks. I have to say,
I know.
I am over it.
I know. That's all they had. Honestly, though, like the name brand stuff is
It's yeah. Okay.
taking that.
All right, and then into the freezer for another day, another time, like a bonus meal.
Ready to go.
There we go. Or you make this. So the other way to do it is you make this and you don't eat it, you just turn it into enchiladas. And then you could bake this up right now, or you could make this in the morning and bake one and then bake it for the lasagna part. I mean, the enchilada part in the afternoon, evening, and then put the other one in the freezer. So, but the idea is double it if you need to, if you have a family of 4, or make the whole thing if you have a family of 2, and then use the leftovers in some way. shape, or form.
Should I bake this according to the same instructions as the?
If it's frozen, you can bake it from frozen. You just want to make sure that you add time. So you want to make sure you're probably going to add, what does it say? 400 for.
25.
Oh, so if it's cold, it says 25 to 30 minutes. If it's frozen, I would say 35 to 40 minutes if it's frozen, but at 400. So yeah, it should be totally fine.
Oh, look at the topping bar. We have the topping bar.
And if it's warm, it should just take 15 minutes. The only thing you want to have happen is you want to see that it's actually bubbling. So if it's not bubbling, it's not cooking. The other way to do it is to stick, like you could stick a fork in the center of it and let it sit for about 10 seconds, or stick a butter knife in the center of it for 10 seconds and then either touch your wrist or touch just right underneath your lip. Those are 2 very sensitive parts of your body that you can feel heat. So if it's hot, you will feel it hot. If it's not hot, it just means it needs to cook for longer. So you want it to bubble and boil and make sure that the cheese is melted. And then obviously it says that you should bake it uncovered. Actually, it doesn't say that, but it doesn't say covered. So bake it uncovered. But again, if the cheese is browning, if it was in the freezer and the cheese is browning, but it's not yet ready, it's not hot enough, go ahead and just cover it with some aluminum foil, and then that way you won't have to worry about the cheese burning. But at 400, the cheese shouldn't burn that badly at all, even. And then when you're ready to serve it, you could serve it with some crumbled cheese, more cheese if you'd like, or we made a little sour cream with lime juice. And did you just put pepper and salt and pepper? And then you have the cilantro to put on the top too. So nice little topping on the top. Yeah. All right. Frozen lasagna enchiladas.
I love it. Frozen lasagna enchiladas.
And then let's take a look at our
So good.
how it's going over here. I think it's probably ready. Yeah, it's good. It smells good.
Smells
So this
amazing.
is so interesting. This
so
is
good.
more liquidy. So we would have had a more liquidy sauce. I wonder,
Wait, is that the chicken that I brought?
yes,
Those were still partially frozen, so I bet it's in
Yeah.
water.
yeah. So this would have been a lot easier with the tortillas, the rough
Mhm.
tortillas that we had. But actually, I'm glad that it didn't turn out, because then that's like Marianne was saying, it's nice when you see you can do things a little bit differently.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is definitely a little thicker. I mean, a little more watery.
Soupier.
Mhm.
So good.
But here we go.
All right.
What's today?
Today is Monday, the 19th, June 19th.
Okay, so that means our
The next
next
one-
one is the 29th.
Hmm.
Oh, that's gonna be our wine night as well.
Ooh.
And we're getting ready for the 4th of July. So just so you know,
Wait, hold on. Quick question.
sure.
Marianne wants to know if we thawed them first. We did, but
they were semi-thawed.
I thought they were still kind of frozen
Yeah.
inside.
And that's fine. You don't need to thaw them. And I made a point to brown them, but they don't need to brown. Browning will add an extra layer of flavor, but with all of those flavors that we have in there, it's not, you probably would be very hard pressed to taste the difference between ones that were brown and ones that weren't brown, because all of the other flavors that are going on in that sauce are so bold anyways. So the browning was only for flavor, and it's not necessary. So that means like you could do this in the Instant Pot if you wanted to like do, like, you know, when you see those people that seem so organized, they portion up all their stuff and then put it in the freezer and then they put it in the Instant Pot or the slow cooker or whatever. It looks so nice, but I've never really done it. But you could do this for the Instant Pot. So you could make like 3 times the sauce and then put it in 3 different baggies and put the chicken in the sauce, put it in the freezer, and then pull it out and then either put it in the slow cooker or put it in the Instant Pot and make your chicken that way. And you wouldn't need to brown your meat. And like I said, honestly, if you were to do a blind taste test between the one that was brown and the one that wasn't brown, my guess is that 7 out of 10 people couldn't taste the difference, because all of the other flavors are so bold.
Yes.
So and that's true for anything where it says brown your meat ahead of time. When it's talking about like a beef burgundy or coq au vin or a braised Italian pot roast or whatever, look at the ingredients. If there are strong flavors going on, you probably can't tell the difference.
Which, if there's a lot of strong ingredients, it's probably in some sort of sauce or liquid.
Yeah.
Like it's
So you don't need to worry about the brown stick. I feel like people get a little hung up on that, and then it sets people up for failure if they don't have their pan hot enough. They don't
yeah.
they don't get it going. So
Yeah. Okay, so for pulled pork and crock pot probably don't need to brown.
definitely don't need to brown.
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. I mean, if you have a crock pot that also browns and you want to,
Again.
you can. The Instant Pot, yeah, the one that my grandmother bought me way back in the day, it could go like it was on a base, like it was a pot, and then you put it on the base.
Oh, I have one of those. I really like it.
Yeah.
It's a stainless steel saucepan.
I don't
They're
think
big.
it's not stainless. Mine isn't stainless. I think
Oh.
it's like aluminum or something. It's
Oh.
not. this. But
Well,
if you have a stainless
that's my
steel
favorite kind of crock pot.
yeah,
'cause you
where you
in
can put
that
it on there and
right
then you put it
hot
on the
plate.
base. Yes. Yeah. So if you have something like that, great. But if you don't, no, you don't. And we used to do that in the I can't remember what class it was. Yeah, that was kids. In one of the classes, we would do that. I think it was Learn to Cook Part 2 class. We would do side by side braised dishes where one was brown and one wasn't brown. And you could see a color difference in some of them. So like if it was the one in Learn to Cook part 1, week 3, you can see a color difference because it's a white sauce. So one sauce is a little darker, but you can't really taste the difference very much. So, okay, any other questions for? So yeah, so next week we're gonna start in on 4th of July because like, I don't know about you guys, but we are already planning our 4th of July menu.
Yeah, well, yeah, and we can't do anything like the
Yeah.
week of the 4th because
Well, we're doing
everyone's
something
gone.
we're doing something on the 5th, maybe the 6th. depending on-
In person, yeah,
Yeah,
but I'm just
not in
like, with
person,
the-
no.
yeah, we're doing the wine club and the virtual
Yeah.
on June 29th for the 4th of
For
July.
the 4th of July.
Red, white, rosé.
We're doing sliders.
Sliders, caramelized onion, what kind of meat?
Oh,
And blue cheese.
and I think we're just gonna do, I'm just gonna do chuck beef, yeah. And then we're gonna make macaroni salad, not the sweet kind, and beans, good, kind of like baked beans, but not baked beans, because I find it huge waste of energy and time to turn the oven on for 8 hours and bake the beans. So I know it's not like a traditional, East
Are baked
Coast-
beans generally like the sweet
Mhm.
ones?
Yeah, so we're gonna do that since I don't like things that are too sweet. It's gonna be slightly sweet, but not very sweet.
Okay.
And then not forever because I don't want to turn on my oven forever. And there you go. Yeah. And then the week after that, we're gonna get ready for Bastille Day. And then we're gonna do Vietnamese food. Then we're doing. Can't remember.
How does she remember this? Off the top of her head, I don't know.
Then Stacy's doing 2 weeks while we both are out of town. And I can't remember what it is, but I remember it being good. So there you go.
Sizzling summer eats.
There we go.
Grilled chicken with thyme, cherry tomatoes, and artichokes, and a spinach salad. Ooh, with a fresh corn vinaigrette. Yum.
Yeah.
And herb and mascarpone.
Oh, and then she's doing like a bougie burger.
Mmm,
So like really fun burger stuff.
yum.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that, yeah. Now is the time to tell all your friends to sign up for Ritual Cooking Club. $25 a month. You get 4 of these classes a week.
The vegetables with that sauce is really good.
Yes, very delicious.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks, everybody. If you have any questions, we're gonna sign up. Cool beans. All right. Bon appetit.
Bye.
Bye.